Welcome to my channel, Fit with Tiff 100.
The steps I took to lose 130 pounds. Three secrets that I use to pay off $100,000 in student loan debt. This topic is definitely near and dear to my heart.
Out here on the field at the Texans game. How amazing is that?
Hello, my Fit fam. Thank you for tuning in to Fit with Tiff 100. Tiffany Chanell here, and today I'd like to talk to you about being fit in your finances. But before we get into this video, please feel free to like this video if you want to see more content like this in the future. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already a Fit family member. Definitely comment down below on what you thought about this video, and if there's any other videos that you would like to see about finances in the future so that I can incorporate that into my uploads. And then also feel free to share this content with whomever you think could benefit from it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So this video is about the top 10 worst debt that you could possibly have. This video actually stemmed from one of my subscribers who requested knowing a little bit more about how to stay out of debt and just different things about debt. And so I thought about, well, what are some of the worst debt that you could have? Because we want to stay away from that. And I decided to create this video. I also created another video per their request that talks about how to stay out of debt once you have become debt-free. Now, this video really resonates with me because I have witnessed people that are very close to me have so many different financial troubles and really be in financial slavery because of being in debt. And so I really hope this video will help you or others you know to make better financial decisions for you and your household. So before I get into the top 10 worst debt, first I'd like to state that this video is going to start out with ranking the debt. I'm going to start off with the best debt you could possibly have, and then I'm going to go further and further down into the number one worst debt you could have. So let's start with the best debt. The best debt, in my opinion, that you can have is no debt at all. I am not a fan of debt, period. I don't really care what it does to your FICO score. I'm just not a fan of debt. However, for those of you who are looking to improve your FICO score, then the best debt for you to have is debt that you can pay off at the end of the month so that you're not accumulating interest and having to make small payments each month where you end up making a lump sum payment more than what you originally took out on that particular debt. So I didn't necessarily rank this in my top 10, but I just felt like it deserves to be said. So the 10th worst debt you can have is mortgage debt. So I'm going to be looking down at what I'm calling my cue cards. Some of this information I have accumulated over time through experiences and education, and some of this information I wanted to do more research on so that I can better provide you with the information that you need to be successful on your fit financial journey. So as I mentioned, the 10th worst debt you could have is mortgage debt. I listed this as number 10 for several reasons. It's not as bad as some of the debt that I'm going to mention later in this video. For one, once you pay off your mortgage or you sell your home, that debt or liability turns into an asset. And so that's a really good part about having and owning your own home. However, if you don't pay your mortgage each month, this could result in foreclosure, causing you to lose your home. And a foreclosure also, unfortunately, goes on your credit report and remains on there for several years. And depending on the home, location, or other factors, your home will accumulate equity over time. And thus the value of your home will be worth more than what you paid for it in the future. So those are some of the upsides and downsides of having a mortgage loan. I do have a mortgage. I believe in home ownership. I think it's a wonderful thing to have. For those people who do not have a mortgage, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with that. For those of us that do have mortgages, there's reasons behind that, and there's reasons behind not having a mortgage. But if you can, the best thing you can do when you purchase your home, just purchase it and pay it off in full if you can. That way you can avoid accumulating debt and the interest on your home accumulating over time, and then you end up having to pay more on your home than what you originally took out for the loan. The 9th worst debt you could have are student loans. So again, it's not as bad as some of the debt that I'm going to mention later in this video. However, there are some downsides about this debt. One is that it's a debt, a liability, and not an asset, right? But similar to mortgage, it's also taxable. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but you can write your student loans, the interest that you pay in your student loans, you can write that off on your taxes. Same thing with your mortgage. It's taxable debt. However, with student loans, you don't have equity. Your debt in your student loans doesn't become an asset. At the end of paying off your student loans or obtaining your education, your asset will be the degree that you obtained and the knowledge that you gained while you were accumulating student loan debt. Now, student loans do, however, similar to a mortgage, offer a fixed interest rate, and usually these rates are pretty low. You do not need to have any type of credit in order to apply for student loans, which is a good thing. Also, student loans provide many different repayment options and forgiveness options, such as your income-based repayment plan. You can use these plans if your income is too low to afford the monthly student loan debt payment. Also, there's forbearance forgiveness in case you were sick and weren't able to work or you lost your job. That's the good side of student loan debt and what it offers when you have that kind of debt. The 8th worst debt that you could have are private loans. Now, private loans are loans that you can also take out for your education, but they're not as flexible as student loans. Maybe you went to a university for an undergraduate degree and took out a private loan. If you don't pay that loan off in full, then your transcript will not be released to you so that you can attend another university to obtain maybe a higher or a different degree. Student loans won't do that to you. As long as you're paying on your student loans, you can still attend another university for a graduate degree. Now with private loans, many private loans have variable interest rates as opposed to fixed rates like student loans. And also, if your credit is not good, you will not qualify for a private loan, and instead you'll have to get a cosigner. Otherwise, you may end up possibly qualifying, but then paying a higher interest rate. And private loans offer fewer repayment and forgiveness options than do student loans. The seventh worst possible debt you can have are auto loans. Yes, I said it, auto loans. We all need vehicles sometimes, depending on where we live. Some locations have public transportation and it's very friendly for pedestrians. But then in some locations, it's not always easy to use public transportation. And so therefore, we acquire automobiles. Some of us pay them off in cash in full when we acquire them, and then most of us have to obtain auto loans. Now, understand that your car or your vehicle will automatically decrease in value as soon as you drive it off of the lot. So if you choose to purchase a vehicle by obtaining a loan for it, try to make sure that you obtain a used vehicle. That way you're not overpaying for something that's going to decrease in value. It's different than like a mortgage loan that will increase in value over time. Also, if you don't pay your auto loan each month, your vehicle could be repossessed, and therefore you entered in this debt. Now you no longer have your vehicle, and a repossession will negatively impact your credit report for several years. The sixth worst possible debt you could have is a personal loan. So a personal loan will allow you to borrow money for a variety of reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be for your education. Usually it has lower interest rates than credit cards, and it typically does offer fixed rates. However, your monthly payments are typically higher due to having a set term. For example, having to pay off the personal loan that you borrowed during a 36-month time frame. Now, some personal loans come with upfront fees and repayment penalties, so you really want to be careful if you ever had to enter into this type of loan. The fifth worst possible debt you could have is credit card debt. And the sad thing is, so many of us have credit card debt, and it's pretty high on this list. And I've done research, guys, and I'm not the only person that places credit cards pretty high on the list. A lot of organizations that focus and specialize in financial well-being and financial planning, they also place credit cards high on the list. Now, I'm just going to read a few points for you. Now, although some companies may offer the first 12 months or so for free of interest, please beware that credit card interest rates can get as high as 26% in annual percentage rate, in APR. And so if you just have to get a credit card for something small, like maybe you wanted to purchase some furniture that costs maybe $1,200, and you know you can pay that furniture off over the course of the next 12 months, get a credit card that has interest free for 12 months, pay that card off in full at the end of the 12 months so that you're not accumulating interest. Also, I would advise you to try to negotiate a better interest rate with your bank. If you've had a credit card for a long time, for many years with that bank, and you're in good standing, paying that balance down each month, talk to them about the interest rate so that you can make sure you're getting the best rate for yourself. Now, many credit cards have variable interest rates, which means your payment balance could go up at any given time. so there's no stability there. Also, paying the minimum payment will take you much longer to pay off your balance, and you'll likely end up paying more than what you originally took the credit card out for. If you ever decide you need cash from your credit card, and otherwise known as a cash advance, please be aware that you will be charged an additional fee for cash advances. By always having a credit card handy, unlike a personal loan, there is a continuous temptation to use it. I do have another video that talks about how to say goodbye, at least temporarily, from your credit card, or how to remove yourself from the credit card or do things that keep you away from your credit card so that you're not tempted to spend the money, because it is in fact debt. So the fourth worst debt that you can have is a credit account. So it's similar, it has similar characteristics to a credit card, except it's an account, like at a store. So you're not really obtaining a Visa credit card. Maybe you're obtaining a Macy's credit card, a Macy's credit account, for example. Now, even though credit accounts do have similar characteristics to credit cards, however, you're limited to only being able to purchase items at the store where your account is held. And because you have less flexibility with the usage of a credit account, I did make this number 4 on the list as the fourth worst debt you can have. So meaning a major credit card being not as bad as a credit account because it offers some sort of flexibility. Usually people that get credit accounts get a credit account at a store because maybe they did not get approved for a major credit card based on their credit score. The third worst debt you can have is tax debt. Who wants to owe the IRS, right? I know I don't. Not only is there interest on tax debt, but the IRS will come for you. If you owe them money and you haven't set up a payment plan, they will come for you. They will garnish your wages directly from your paycheck so that your paycheck won't even hit your bank account. The IRS will take it before it hits your account. Also, they can put a levy on your home, causing you to not be able to sell your home, or even having to move out of your home if it's not a homestead. So it's really important that you do not owe the government money. If you owe them, please set up a payment plan. Try not to avoid them, but it's best to just never have to owe them at all. The second worst debt is a payday loan. I have written so much information on payday loans to the point where I can't even read what I wrote. The writing is too small. So give me 1 minute. Let me grab this paper so that I don't miss anything on what I have to say about payday loans. So I had to grab this paper where I documented a lot of information about why payday loans, in my opinion, is the second worst debt you can have. So just bear with me, Fit Fam. So sadly, payday loans are marketed towards lower income neighborhoods. You will find payday loans in low income areas because they're trying to trap people into a cycle of always being dependent on these payday loans. And typically, they're pretty successful. You're not going to find a payday loan in a nice neighborhood or a wealthy neighborhood because unfortunately for payday loans, but fortunately for the people that live in these neighborhoods, is that they're not having to depend paycheck to paycheck and eventually get in debt and rely on payday loans. It's really sad, and it bugs me that they market these type of companies. in lower income areas, I feel like this stuff should be really against the law. But that is my rant. I'm really sorry about that, but I'm just really passionate about these kind of things. So let me explain to you what a payday loan is. The idea of a payday loan is just as it sounds. If you run out of cash and you can't pay your bills until your next payday, you take out a short-term loan with the intention of paying it back on your payday. The repayment term is usually around 2 weeks, so it's not very long. But you can roll over the loan for a lengthier time period, but guess what? There is a rollover fee. So everything you do, there's a fee for that. Odds are, if you don't have enough money to pay rent this month, you'll likely not have enough money to pay rent the next month, especially when you're dealing with paying back your payday loan. According to the Washington Post, that is why 80% of payday loan borrowers are repeat customers, because they get into this cycle of depending on a payday loan. They can't pay their rent. They're constantly having to pay the payday loan back, then get another payday loan, can't pay this, have to pay the payday loan back. They likely don't have an emergency fund. And so it's just a vicious cycle. And 80% of payday loan borrowers being repeat customers, that is a high percentage rate. Please, 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 whatever you can possibly do not go to a payday loan shark. And this really bothered me. One report found that the average payday loan borrower pays $793 in interest. That's almost $800 in interest on a $325 loan. So they're paying more than double back to the payday lender than what they originally borrowed. And the average payday loan rate is 300. Yes, I did not say 30. I did not say 3% like we would see on student loans or mortgage. I said the average payday loan interest rate is 391%, resulting in only a $500 loan costing you $2,024 to pay back. So you go to a payday loan place, you pay them $500, and then they charge you $2,024 to pay them back. This is why people stay in this vicious cycle of relying on payday loans. Please, I do want this video to help you so that you never get into that cycle. The number one worst debt that you could possibly have are title loans. Now, with a title loan, the main requirement is your car title. If you do not own a vehicle, then forget about it. You won't even be eligible to go to a title loan place, because that's the whole point of a title loan. Giving this company titles to your vehicle, and then they give you a loan. If you don't repay the loan, your car will be repossessed. You could lose your car. And as I mentioned earlier, repossessions go on your credit report. They negatively impact your credit report, and they stay on there for several years. Now, the interest rates are just as high as payday loans. Like I mentioned earlier, 391% in interest. However, I chose title loans as the top or number one worst debt over payday loans, because you can actually lose your vehicle if you don't repay the loan within a short time frame, such as 30 days. Also, title loans will only loan you money for a small portion of what your vehicle is worth. For example, if your vehicle is worth, I don't know, let's just say $10,000. A title loan will only loan you money for 25 to 50%, so no more than $5,000. That's a small percentage of what your vehicle is worth. So is it really worth it? Because you could lose your vehicle if you don't pay these people back in a short time frame. All right, now my Fit fam, let's recap. So the least worst debt you could possibly have, as I mentioned before, is no debt at all. But for those of us that want to make sure we're improving our FICO score and our FICO score doesn't go down just because we're debt free, then the least worst debt you could possibly have is debt that you can pay off at the end of each month. Now, the 10th worst debt you could have is mortgage debt. The 9th worst debt is student loan debt. The 8th worst debt are private loans. The 7th worst debt are auto loans. The 6th worst debt is a personal loan. The 5th worst debt are credit cards. The 4th worst debt are credit accounts at a store. The 3rd worst debt is tax debt. The 2nd worst debt are payday loans. And the number 1 worst debt are title loans. So again, a lot of this information is information that I obtained through researching various articles and also following various financial advisors, and this is the list that I came up with. If you have any other ideas for this list, please definitely comment down below. And my Fit fam, thanks again for tuning in to another segment of Fit with Tiff 100, being fit in your finances. And until the next time, my Fit fam, always remember to stay fit in your finances, and I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks again. Bye. This is a journey for me. I'm still not done, and that's why it's called a journey, I suppose. But if you would like to share this journey with me, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below. And that way you will be able to stay tuned for more of my videos in the future. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, YouTube.